Folks, it's time for Speed Bump, a game called Bug on the Saturn. This ugly box art is from the SMS, but I guess this game's just on both because there he is, the Bug himself. We have 5 players ready to roll, and I am too.
All right, well, I'll give them the start.
It was on Windows 95? That's too bad. I mean, great.
There's a sequel to this as well called Bug 2.
Yes.
But it's not the number 2, it's the word 2. TOO. This game's been on my my want to play list for a long time, but I've never gotten around to it. As far as I understand, it comes from the era of, you know, the mascot platformers. Everyone needed to have a mascot with attitude, but was not commercially successful at all.
It looked silly. It's got the 3D walking through the land Shantae kind of thing going on.
Right.
Which I like better than 3D. I'm not very good at 3D platforming. It's 2.5D stuff doesn't bother me too much. Think of a very conventional platformer. It's like a good old Mario.
Yeah, it's 3D nominally, but it's still very much like you're locked into a grid. So I feel like people who struggle with 3D might find this to be doable. There was a version of this on the PC-98? Are you kidding? Okay, it's like, I don't feel like the PC-98 could do even a partial representation of this.
Yeah, the PC gaming market is what I grew up with after the SNES. Kind of sucked for a long time. It took a long time for the PC gamer nerds to be serious contenders in the world of gaming. It wasn't until like the 2000s that they really started to pop off. Games in that era were few and far between, honestly, especially good ones.
I feel like the PlayStation era, where games started getting released both on PlayStation and on Windows, was where Windows gaming really started to...
Yeah, but they never
at least
ran
for me,
right.
that was the age where I was like, oh, they're getting cool games now.
It used to be much harder to get games to work correctly, so when they did have a unique game, it would be hard to get it to run properly, and when it was a port, it usually, like Final Fantasy VII, I think is a great example, was so much worse than just popping the disc in your PlayStation and having a good time.
Yeah. I had the PC version of Final Fantasy VII growing up because I didn't have a PlayStation.
Yeah, like famously bad port that got fixed with the modding community who loves it. And yeah, then you have a couple bangers like Diablo that are just nothing like the other games in the world.
I played I mean, we talked about it during the race, but that Frogger game we played a few weeks ago, I played that one on PC growing up. Jaspertine either is unable to proceed or... Okay. I was like, I don't know if it'll let you walk across that moving bridge. Yeah, this checks out that this is from the mascot platformer era. The little do something and then hear a voice line of them saying something witty right afterward is... Yeah, that checks out. Watch it, buddy!
These voice
And
clips
just getting
are...
clear in the first level.
They're so similar to what other mascot platformers are. It's almost like there's just a database of just wacky voices. I know there's not, but in the same vein as like, here's the sound of a hawk.
Right.
This is what a cartoon guy sounds like. Man, guys, like just they all push this.
It's the Wilhelm scream of mascot platformers.
It's bug related this time though, so. Ooh, dung beetles are a cool enemy though. Love to see them in every video game that they're in. How many dung beetles can you think of in video games?
None? I'm not sure any in particular coming to mind at the moment.
There's one in Mega Man X6, a boss.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell his name is though. It's probably something ridiculous. His name is Ground Scarovich.
Terrible name. You know, when the X series decided to start giving bosses like unique, clever names rather than just like Metal Man, Fireman, really went off the rails.
X is all about the animals. I don't know what the hell a Ground Scarovich is supposed to be, but they don't always come across in translation. Like Boomer Quanger was supposed to be a stag beetle of some kind. They dogged the shot on that one, but you'll have like Chill Penguin is a pretty clear. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Boomer Quanger is a cool name. It just doesn't make sense with the theme.
Don't want to go off on a tangent, but have you seen the Zero boss names? That's where they really
No.
went off the rails. Let's take a look.
I have not.
We have Mahagana Sheriff. Instead of Ganesha, they went with that. That's what they were going for, though. Hittite Hatade and Blazak Stagroff. Are these hitting? Herculeus Ancus. Asura Basura. Phoenix Magnanian. I don't know what any of these mean. Aleg Orobakal and Enterflaw Claws. It's like they had an animal and they removed a letter from it and then they threw on some random like German name or something on top of it. Like that's what they're all. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I don't understand those ones. It seems like it's got your standard platformer stuff. I'm curious to see where they go with this in the next 20 minutes. No one's gotten out of the garden just yet. The dung beetle and whatnot garden. What's your favorite 90s PC game?
The Tex Murphy series, probably?
I don't think I've ever played those. The obvious answers to me are... probably the one I played the most was StarCraft.
I never got into StarCraft. I had some friends who were into it. I played a few RTSs, but StarCraft was just never mine. I played Total Annihilation a bunch. I got really into Age of Empires for a little while.
Played a lot of RTSs and stuff that were a little over my head. I was like actually 9 years old on the internet playing against people who really were competitive. I think I started competitive gaming in the 2000s, so that was a bit early for me to be on there, losing tactics games. I remember the bullying that happened to me, like I'm scarred for the StarCraft bullying. I remember some dudes in a 2-on-2 were beating my ass, and I ran over to my partner and built a base in front of his base, which as an adult I can see now that I made his life way worse for doing that instead of just being dead. And I remember the roasting that I got from all 3 players. Freaking StarCraft. It had a lot of cool custom
But
maps.
that's how you learn, you know?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it was no good. But I like the game a lot.
Okay, Mr. Hotshot Game Player, now what?
Well, the Fallout series is a good answer. I've never played those really. They're kind of antiquated. Really hard for me to jump into them. Just like the old XCOM games. It's hard for me to get into something with UI that is not... Like, I can do it for consoles because the what's expected of you is very limited. But for a tactics game, running at, what is it, 640 by 480 resolution? That's the resolution numbers. That's it. 800 by 600 if you're lucky. Cramming all the elements that you need to quickly interact with into those games. It's hard to play, for me, those menu-based.
Right.
I feel like they're probably better written, just better games than like Fallout 3, but I probably would just rather play Fallout 3. Real casual gamer over here.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being drawn to a game that makes the user experience a little smoother. It's like, do you want to play the original Rogue, or do you want to play, you know, modern games that have improved on the user experience? It's like, was Dwarf Fortress better before they like made their most recent updates and got it cleaned up for public consumption, or was it better back when you had to know a list of 400 hotkeys?
They used to come not just with a manual that was the size of like The Hobbit, but they also came with a little keycard sheet with all the hotkeys on it. Old games came in a big cardboard box that was like 2 feet wide, like seriously. Used to get really nice packaging on our games. Not today. Not anymore.
We used to live in a society.
Yeah. I remember as a kid just reading the Warcraft 2 manual, and the plot in there is like half of the book, and I was just like studying it like I was reading The Hobbit. For real. Like, that's an apt comparison.
You were gonna have to take a test on it.
Yeah, like I knew who Gul'dan was and what his history was all about. I know about that half-orc lady who's a spy and all that other stuff that's in there. Lothar and all that crap. I studied that history as if it was important to me playing the game. That being said, I've never heard of this one. And I paid a lot of attention to PC games.
Imagine not knowing Bug.
Yeah. Getting games to work in the early 90s. Windows 98 kind of fixed it. Windows 95 and earlier, kind of a big problem, I would say, running anything unless you were actually in IT. Like, it's not gonna happen.
When you post this video to YouTube, they are going to drag your ass in the comments for not knowing Bug.
Yeah. On the bright side, I did know how to launch Bug. I just didn't have it. Yeah, this is the Sega Saturn version. Easier way to play it, surely. I don't know a whole lot of Saturn games. CD-based Sega system, that's what it is, right?
Yep.
Not the Sega CD, though. That's a different Sega-based
That is a different console, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 of them. I think this Saturn is the more, like, the Sega CD2, right?
Well, the Sega CD wasn't a peripheral for the Genesis?
Yeah,
like
I
you
think so.
attached it to your Genesis.
And that didn't really fly, so they made the Saturn. I think that's the way it went. Like,
There's
Sega
some great
CD
games for the Sega Saturn, though. I mean,
Yeah, it seems like it. I expect that to be the place to go if you want a game with cutscenes in it, like goofy cutscene games.
sure, yeah.
The pool
Yeah,
game.
Saturn and 3DO both seem to like really love their awesome cutscenes.
If you like Dragon's Lair and games like that, that whole genre was this system.
Right.
Games where you have a cutscene and you interact with it and hope for the best. That entire type of game, just this was the one it was on. It wasn't. I can't think of any PlayStation game that had that. They probably exist. There's like 10,000 PlayStation games. I was thinking rating those would take, like, the SNES is going to take me a while to rate all those games, but doing the PlayStation library, that's a lifetime commitment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if I don't do my usual bit of mentioning Virtual Highlight, the Saturn still has some really solid games. And I mean, I genuinely like Virtual Highlight, but like even if you ignore that one, there's some pretty cool games on the Saturn. The Horde had a version on the Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. I like the Horde.
Returning from bonus round. I guess the bonus round is what Akami is currently doing. What do you think of Bug?
I'm digging it. I mean, I would definitely play this. Like I said, it's been on my backlog for a long time. That's when picking a game this week, I was just going through some of my backlog games, and this one's been on it because I've wanted to play it, and this is further selling me on it.
Looks serviceable. Yeah, I don't really understand.
This seems like the sort of
Sega
game that
system.
probably gets to be a nightmare toward the end of the game. I mean, it's already pretty chaotic early on. I imagine that the late game just gets grueling.
I don't know a whole lot about the Sega consoles, add-ons, or the Sega Channel. I didn't have that either. I don't know what all that stuff was. A little bit of history that I haven't really interacted with. Bug stop. I saw the Sega Channel in the news recently. Somebody had unarchived some video from it.
Sega Channel was like a download service, right?
Yeah, interesting enough that I don't know how that works. In the would have had to been like 94, 95.
Probably around the same era as like Satellaview stuff.
Had a hard enough time getting my modem to make a call. I remember trying to connect Warcraft 2 over the internet to my friend down the street, and his dad picking up the phone, and I could hear him through my computer. I'm like, oops, that's not right. Sorry for the prank phone call by the orcs. Yeah, they found the lost Garfield game content. Is that exciting? Yeah, the Sega games are
I do
popping
remember
up.
hearing about that recently, yeah. Now that you mention it, that does sound familiar. People love Garfield content.
I like content. I don't want any game to be lost no matter how crappy it is. Even if it's a
Agreed.
Final Fantasy VII bootleg on the NES demake that is just miserable to play and experience, and obviously a ripoff, and they're trying to steal money from people who like Final Fantasy VII, but even that one, you know, I want it to be available for people to look at and say, wow, look at that history.
Yeah, it's no Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I guess it's not. I don't like Zukiro 3 very much, but I'm glad that it is there for us to play. I can think of worse bootlegs.
Well, we're approximately 20 minutes into Bug. Are you feeling like this is probably one of the better Saturn games from what you know?
I think that this system is really capable of a lot. And this is definitely I just feels like it is probably a port of a Windows game. That's what it looks like. I think we can... This genre is alright, but I think I do prefer the cutscenes and the goofiness that the Saturn offers that's unique. Is this the system with Minnesota Fats?
It's not a pool game?
Yeah, it is that system. Yeah, that game has a guy who absolutely isn't that guy. I don't know, he doesn't even look like him. He hired an actor who's just an old man who is the same height as him, I guess, and that's it. Like, he doesn't look like him otherwise, and he's just like, that's me, Minnesota Fats, and he plays pool. I can't.
That's right.
And in the credits of it, he does a trick shot, and it pans away after he gets 6 of the 7 balls in, and I can tell you, as somebody who owns a pool table, he's not going to make that 7th. But they
last
used
one
it,
ain't making it.
they used it anyway. I mean, I couldn't get 6 out of 7 in, so he's got me beat. Is this a launch title? That explains a lot in terms of, like... I don't feel like they're doing a lot with the system's capabilities here. But it's a perfectly playable 3D game for the people who like to walk into the foreground. It looks like it's a lot of timing-based platforms. And it doesn't
Yeah, this
seem
feels like
unreasonable.
it falls more in the category of like a puzzle platformer than an action platformer to me.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't seem like it has a lot of puzzle elements, but I kind of equate it more to that genre. I think it is quite telling. You know, we've got some pretty impressive players here joining us, and our furthest progress we've seen, I think one of our players is on the 3rd level in 22 minutes. So these are not short or easy levels, and this is still the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I'd heard that they're delisting games on Steam and some other places, which does make me feel like they're probably going to sell them somewhere in some kind of big collection. Sega likes to do that. They've got a few already. The players have 7 minutes left. I was wondering if this is the only environment we'll deal with. Six worlds. I'm not sure who's winning at the moment. How do we measure that?
I asked them to keep track of the number of levels that they've completed. I think Jasperteen's made the most progress, but it's small. I think we're going to end up with a lot of ties. Perhaps this race will be something of a wash, but I don't know. I think it's worth it to see a strange game.
Right. He shoots! He scores!
Hey, Slopperhead!
Ah, grasshopper.
Oh, you got this overhead cam. That's just by the angle. Okay. That's not a player control. That's just the way they roll. That's neat.
No, it's not a top-down thing. It's just you're walking on the walls.
Yeah.
Watch it, buddy.
What's your favorite bug?
Do people just have an answer for that question? Because I can't imagine having a favorite bug.
I'm bringing in the hot toddler questions. What's your favorite dinosaur? What's your second favorite dinosaur?
An Allosaurus.
Oh, not bad. There's no bad answer for that question.
Stick bug? Okay, actually, stick bug feels kind of strong. Those guys are funky little dudes. Favorite bug? I mean, I feel like I get along with the caterpillar.
Yeah, those things are cool. I think when I see I don't know if it's my favorite, but when I see a mantis, I'm always like, damn, look at this guy. I always give him some reverence in space. Make sure he gets across the road okay. I like a good snail, but it's not really a bug. I like to make sure they're safe too, but you gotta be careful handling those. They don't like chemicals on your hands. Fireflies are awesome. They light up the night around here. You either call them fireflies or lightning bugs based on region. These
Yeah, I grew up
stampers-
catching fireflies.
These stampers have a pattern to them.
A completely unhinged pattern, too.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, and then 2, 3 on the next one. It's a trick. You have to wait. The impatient will get smashed. The standard Yoku block trick for Mega Man, like that kind of trap, is to just 1 and 2, and that's it. So anytime they deviate from that, it's very tricky to me. If they do, it actually is 4 and not 2, and it kind of looks like it's 2, but it's actually 4. The second time around, it's different, and it's gonna get you if you feel like it's the first one.
Oh, you know, I didn't pick bees. Bees are very good friends.
Yeah.
Bees are a good bug.
People like bumblebees a lot because they're big clowns, but I think that they're wrong. They're good pollinators, but they're the meanest bees there are when they actually get mad. They only get mad when you're near their nest. But that could be underground. You might not know about it. You might have some very relentless bees that can sting you and not die from it kind of bees.
Yeah.
I like a regular old honeybee myself. My preference. If I see a bee, that's the one.
So
Gotta hurt.
unless I missed something, I think Okami's in the lead. I haven't seen anyone else fighting the boss of this world.
time is up. There's a big snail, maybe the boss. And a bunch of snails in the audience.
Yeah, it seems
Hoping-
likely that Okami has made the most progress.
Is it the snails versus the bugs back there? Do you know why snails aren't bugs?
I don't know why they're not bugs. Is it because they don't have segmented bodies?
Welcome to scientific classification. What an ugly snail drawing, by the way. It's just the animation's good, but I just don't like the design of it. Mollusks, they don't have wings, not warm-blooded. That's why they're not insects.
Well, that's Bug.
That's bug.
This is a good-looking game, honestly. I like it.
Is this a movie? What does it mean, movie? Gross. Did I miss that? Is this a... Okami has beaten the snail, eventually.
I guess they're filming a movie.
Insectia is complete. It's too bad. 30 minutes per stage, it looks like, because we were about to see a new zone. Maybe we still can take a peep at it on Okami's screen here.
Yep.
If they keep it running. Oh, yeah, we are on a movie set.
Hey, you got the cutscenes just like you wanted, too.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, moving on to a Western-themed world?
Reptilia.
Ooh.
I'm waiting to see. Bug. Yes. Okay, here you go. We have palette swapped over to the old west. Nice. Let's take a look at our scores. What are people saying in here? A lot of 2s and 3s. That was only 3 levels. It was a long going. Okami says 3. They are the winner. They are the one who beat the boss. And they're
Yep.
giving themselves credit for doing that. And that's fine with me. They, in my opinion, did win this one. And that's a good way to show it. Nice work.
They definitely won. It was a good race.
Hey, thanks for joining me, Author Boost. Thanks for Bug.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Have a good night.